So we welcome Danniella, EastEnders Sam Mitchell, sister, of course, of Phil and Grant. She first appeared in the soap at the age of just 16. Oh, my goodness.
That little chunky monkey.
Sam has come and gone.
Hair.
Yeah, Sam's come and gone from Albert Square 5 times. Danniella has gone on to star in Hollyoaks as well as Dancing on Ice, Celebrity Big Brother, and the I'm a Celebrity Jungle as well. And you've had your hard times, to say the least.
Oh, yeah. I mean, EastEnders could literally pay me to write the storylines for them. I've had more storylines than they ever did on the show. But yeah, I have. I've had hard times, but everybody in this country, have we not all had hard times?
Yeah.
Just mine are public, and that's because it's part of the job I do. My life is public, so...
Yeah, and it has been since such an early stage as well.
Yeah.
Since your battles with drugs, you've started motivational speaking. Is that right? Because I saw you tweeting, saying about an empowerment thing, and I wondered what kind of message you're giving.
Do you know what it is? I'm up against a lot of people within that. A very, very good friend of mine, Alfie Best, who's a travelling boy that's gone on to be one of the richest men in this country and motivational, as well as, you know, with business. I haven't got that skill for business, and I'm not a millionaire, so I'm not going to be telling people how to make money and how to do things. But all I can do is draw on my own hope and experiences. And of being bullied from a young age and abuse and different things that have gone on in my life, and to look at it and how do you turn that from being a victim into being empowering, to that to push you forward and to help other people come out of the dark times that you're in and go forward and keep going.
And did you use that inner strength to get off drugs, or were you had to do it because you would have died?
At that time, I just had enough. And then I even up until recently when I relapsed, I was still in a hole for a long time, and actually just watching Russell Brand on TV and watching his documentary and watching how he did it after being 14 years clean and knowing recovery and knowing the system and everything else as I do, still wasn't enough to bring me back. And I watched a documentary he made about treatment and about lobbying against an addicts and different stuff, and I was like, the guy inspires me massively.
Does he really? Yeah.
Hugely inspires me, and just the way he is, and that he never takes himself out of the situation. He's like, I'm an addict, I'm always going to be an addict, but this is how I cope on a daily basis. He doesn't go, oh, I did that and now I don't and I'm perfect. He's like, no, this is me and I was the worst of it. And he really gets stuck in, and he tries to help a lot of people, and watching him inspires me, and reading his books and his podcasts and stuff. It helps me.
I bet he would love to hear that as well. I sort of feel we all found out about your problems at the same time when that photo was taken of you in 2000.
At the NTAs.
2000, at the NTAs.
Yeah.
And you didn't have what's called a septum in your
I don't have anything, really, and now I've had even worse trouble because of the osteoporosis, that this is always turning sideways. I need to have an operation that's nearly £200,000.
And where's that come from, that osteoporosis?
That's come from having really bad dental work.
Oh, I see. So that's
something to do with that at all. But then obviously relapsing obviously couldn't have helped that along the way.
No.
Let's not be stupid about it. We all know that.
Danniella, can I ask you, because we did this on my 5 Live show a little while ago, about whether you ever get over an addiction or whether you just transfer the addiction to something else.
Addiction normally to something else, whether it be faith. I mean, there's addictions.
What did you transfer it to?
To me, I put everything and my energy into my kids, which made me become a bit of a control freak, if I'm honest.
But you said faith, and I read that you'd become a Christian.
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
So that was another way of trying to get the energy somewhere more helpful?
No, I just think at the time it's what I was reaching for and searching for something. And I'd done loads of stuff. I'd gone from doing the dark side of spiritualism, from witchcraft and doing all that, got involved in that, and I was searching for something. And then I went to church and I found that worked for me, and let's face it, none of us are perfect, but I just try and live the best I can on a daily basis without hurting other people. And in the public eye, it's quite a difficult thing to do because you're up against trolls and bullies and stuff all the time, which is why social media happily have a block button, which is great. I wish we had one in life.
When we said you were coming on, you got a bit of trolling, which everyone does.
I always do.
But what I really noticed is you engage with people in you know, you're obviously sitting, having a conversation with the trolls.
Do you know why? Because I've had one troll since 2016, the day after I walked out of the Big Brother house. I've had one person that's trolled me that sometimes I block 40 accounts a day.
One person?
From one person, yeah.
Well, that's very
And I know who she is, the police know who she is, and we all know who she is, and it's all being dealt with. But you've got to remember, these people have mental health issues. They're not just always just trolls. Some of these people are very, very sick. But sometimes it gets to the point when they're coming to your house, giving out your children's home addresses and telephone numbers online and doing stuff like that, and nothing is still being done about it. A bit like Katie Price has done with her son.
Yeah.
You have to let the person go so far before you can actually just slam them and have them arrested. So it's gone on for quite a long time.
Do you feel protected at the moment?
I don't feel any fear of this person, because it's always constantly saying, "Oh, I'm at your house" and shit. They have been to my house, pictures with the windows of my house and everything. Yeah,
that is.
And the police have installed me with panic alarms and the kids and stuff like that. It's all good, but Listen, we work. We live in a day and age where everything is so accessible. And if you're going to put yourself on social media and do things, you have to expect to be accessible.
Yeah,
to people.
but there's the biggest...
Not that much. I mean, that's
not that much,
that's
but there's
outrageous.
always one. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen to the Westbrook. It just does. So yeah, but I'm strong. I've got, I can handle it. And that's why with this empowerment, coming back to that, it's all those different things that happen to you in life. You can turn around and make good from it. From 3 years ago, I was homeless in a shelter with my son. Going to food banks and doing stuff and publicly in front of the nation. And people are like, oh, well, you've done this. No, I didn't just do that. I clawed myself back from it. I went to work. I did what I do. I dug deep. I got off of drugs and I just got on with it. And someone said yesterday, how is being a cocaine addict empowering? It's not. How does that empower people? It doesn't. It makes you unemployable. So what you do is you fix up really fast, you go back to work.
Yeah, but you could do that. I noticed when you were ill last year, diagnosed with womb cancer last year, weren't you?
Yeah, and I've had treatments and stuff with that.
Right, and that's a big thing to deal with. But then that also caused a relapse into the drugs as well.
When I first found out about it, I knew for a good few months I was out in Spain and I didn't even tell anyone. I told my son first. And he was like, well, you need to move home now and get this sorted because I need a mum in my life that's going to be here. And you staying out in certain parts of Spain and drinking and getting on it is just not, A, it's not parenting, and B, it's not facing up to stuff.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's a shame, but sometimes in life, especially with addiction and mental health, sometimes our children become our carers in certain situations.
Yeah.
And he has done. And I'm blessed by the grace of God for my son. But
it makes him grow up really fast, doesn't it?
It has made him grow up fast, and he has been more or less like he's not been my carer because the press will go, oh, Danniella says her son's a carer. No, that's not true. He is a very well put together kid.
And actually, that's a sort of an upside, if there is one, of addiction. I mean, I have some personal experience of this with somebody in my family who's going through this right now. And actually, I've worried a lot about impact on children and so on. But actually, there's an upside to it, which is that the children become quite empathetic. They are...
They shouldn't have.
But don't they lose their childhood? Don't they lose a part of their childhood?
My son didn't lose his child. I mean, look, he's had a fantastic childhood. And we were in a very privileged one at times and a very, very poverty-stricken one at times. That's what people don't understand. They'll think he's been born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He really hasn't. He's lived in homeless shelters and in my car with me. There's been times that kids had to do stuff for us to survive.
But Isabel's saying that when the children have to step up, which is not what you want,
of course
it may develop a side of them that's actually very powerful for the whole of their lives.
Right, and understanding that people go through life and bad stuff happens, and then you've got to find techniques for dealing with it.
Coping mechanisms.
But at the end of the day, addiction is an illness. It is not a weakness. It's something very, very powerful.
A lot of people don't come back from it, and it's not just drugs. There's sex addictions, gambling. There's all sorts of addictions, pornography. There's so many things across the spectrum. Mine's very public, obviously, because of what it's done to me and stuff like that. But there's always a way in and there's always a way out, but you have to dig deep from it.
Your son's a rapper, I know, and he's doing well.
He does a lot of music, and produces music and stuff.
Your daughter is Jodie, is that right?
My Jodie, yeah.
And are you in touch with her now?
No, Jodie's with her dad, and that's just a whole different issue because of different things, but the stalker did play a huge part in that as well for her own safety.
Really? So you've almost lost touch with her a bit?
I haven't spoken to Jodie for 3 years.
Oh, right. And what age is she now?
17. She's gorgeous as well.
That must be really hurtful for you.
It's very, very difficult for me and very, very difficult. But, and since I've been ill and everything else, but at the moment, Jodie's doing her life and she's doing very, very well. She's done brilliantly at school. She's in college. She's doing great. And her dad's a great dad and he's doing what's best for her right now. And it's probably a safer and much better environment for her while I've got all of this stuff going on with trolls and different things and being ill, which she should be there right now. And Kai actually, Kai's looked after me very well since I've been sick and everything. He's been great to me. He's a good mate as well as anything else. But, he's come through a lot of stuff and he's a great kid and we are very close. It's not a secret, I was arrested last year in Spain and literally put into a mixed cell underground in the pitch black darkness for nearly 2 days.
In Spain? In Spain,
with no British consulate. With nothing until I went upstairs and taken to court. Didn't speak, hardly any Spanish.
And what was the charge?
My card didn't work at a petrol station, so I gave my driving licence. And then I flew back from Valencia, completely forgot 6 weeks later because I was on my way. And then they arrested me at Malaga for it and said it was a fraud charge. And And then I was in there in like a mixed cell underground in the dark, not a bit of water, not a bit of food, anything.
Really?
Until they took me up and went, there's your papers. I was like, but I haven't had a lawyer, a British consulate, a phone call, anything.
Right, okay.
But I accepted it because that's the way they do it.
And there wasn't any, you weren't crucially thrashed.
No, but what I'm saying is I was arrested there like that. And that's the way they deal with things. I just had to go with it because I'm in their country. It's against their laws. I'd done something wrong.